Hello, it's Giant Tank 1400, and this is RWBY Top 10 Characters. Now, I wasn't going to do another video of RWBY, but I decided to. I just wanted to talk about the top 10 characters. My last theory video, I was kind of going all over the place because I want to talk about everything. However, this time I'm just going to focus on my top favorite characters, and we'll get started at number 10. Snee. Now, forgive me for butchering some of these names. I don't really know how to pronounce them all. I got like a list here, but at the same time, I'm trying to look it up on the episode, like kind of the characters introduced or whatever, to kind of see how to pronounce them. Anyway, what I really like about her character is that she is this, like, she wants to be like perfect. She's proud. She's an heiress. She wants to be perfect form, perfect everything. But at the same time, like, you get to see her fall back into not perfection and just like chill with just like chilling and everything at the same time. Because in real life, you wouldn't be able to keep up perfection like all the time. So I do really like about that. You know, I've heard sometimes people say about her characters that it's inconsistent, but I think it's like extremely consistent because like she's trying to be perfect. She's trying to put up this like fake form that she's perfect, but at the same time no one's perfect, and people are going to fall back on like old habits and old things from time to time, no matter what. Another thing I really like about her character is her like clash with her father, and I think we're definitely going to see that in volume 4 and onward. I really hope we do, at least like we'll see it, but I don't know if it's going to be in volume 4 or not. It might be in volume 5, but I really like that. And I like her, like even her beginning trailer fight scene where she has that blood down her eye and everything. And it's just, I don't know, it's just interesting to see her character. Like, of all the members of RWBY, besides maybe RWBY herself, like, she's definitely, to me, the most interesting, and I'm looking more forward to seeing what becomes of her in the later seasons. Like, Yang and Blake, I really don't like that much, but that's a topic for another video. Anyway, we're on to number 9. Pyrrha Nichols. Maybe I should just skip the last names for the most part. But anyway, what I really like about Pyrrha is that you have this like really strong character in terms of fighting. I mean, she really just like no one can touch her in anything. But at the same time, you have this character who is very soft spoken when it comes to like public stuff, and she's always like sorry. She's kind of like the opposite of Nora in that sense. Well, not in the sense of fighting, but in the sense of like her being very soft spoken in terms of just talking to people. I really like her explanation of why she likes Jean, in the fact that Jean didn't treat her like everyone else treats her, like she's on a pedestal. He didn't even know who she was. And that's something that Pyrrha have never really experienced before. And a lot of times when you meet someone of the opposite gender that treats you different than everyone else has ever treated you, you tend to like kind of fall for them just because of that. Like if it's in a good way. If it's in a bad way, then you shouldn't. But sometimes people do. I don't know much about that kind of stuff. But anyway, and I also like that she was able to like set up Jean's character. I wish they would have developed it more between her and like the Fall Maiden kind of thing. She didn't really have much time to think about it at all, and she made her choice kind of based on like what Jean said. I wish she would have like really talked to him about it, explain what's going on, but she kind of wanted to keep it secret, which is understandable. And about her like setting up John's character, like she died like right when kind of they got together, and we haven't seen it yet, but we'll see like Jean grow because of that down the line. And we saw him grow because of Pyrrha training him as well during the course of the 3 volumes. I can't remember. I think it started in volume 1 or 2. I don't remember, but in the course of like the 3 volumes, we got to see John become a better fighter because Pyrrha training him. So it was really good in the sense that she was there to set up his character. Now to move on to number 8. It is Coco Adele. Now, I really just like how cool this character is. Like, let's be honest, she's like one of the coolest characters in RWBY. I'm not big for fashion sense, but she's got her fashion down pat. And she's just like, she's cocky. She's just a cool character. She hits people with that like case thing, and they just won't have any of it. And the fact that it just turns into a Gatling gun, like, come on. She's got the sunglasses. She's got the her clothes are just, her fashion sense is amazing, and she's just like that cool character. And in a sense, she completely like overshadows like Yang as a cool character. Like, I never, like, Yang tries to be cool, but I don't think she's that cool, to be honest. And Coco just has her beat tenfold, in my opinion. And like, the moment she was introduced, I was like, this character's awesome. So that we don't get to see much of her developed in the course of the series. She doesn't have much screen time, but her lines and just the screen time she has, she's just a cool character. Number 7, Crow Branwen. Now, if there's one character that was cooler than Coco, it would have to be Crow. I mean, come on. Really, he just comes in all like, you know, you're not going to mess with me. He starts a fight with Winter. Well, Winter actually starts a fight with him, and he kind of just eggs it on a little bit. And he even states that, well, technically, she was the one that started the fight. And come on, like, Crow helps out RWBY. And you know, I personally think like Crow is RWBY's father. I think it's kind of obvious there, but I mean, there's hints. It's not obvious. We don't know for sure, but it just seems that way. I mean, the two even like look similar, but I guess it is their uncle, so the genes would still be there. But overall, like, Crow's like role in the story, he's gonna be more like it seems like he's gonna be more like a mentor than anything else to RWBY in particular, and like the rest of them that went out. And it just seems to me that Crow's role in the story is going to definitely be bigger. He's the one who saved the Fall Maiden, and he is, you know, we haven't really seen him in a fight where he gives him his all yet. Like, he has that scythe. He has that scythe that can also be a sword, and he's just a good character. And we're definitely going to see more of him in the future, basically. And whether he dies or lives, who really knows? But whatever happened is, he's the coolest character in the series, in my opinion. He does have that one negative that he's a drunk, but other than that, he's a great character. Now on to number 6, Adam Taurus. Like I said, I really shouldn't be saying last names here. I'm just butchering them. Adam is a good character because I think he might change sides. If there's only 2 characters from the villains we've seen so far that I think will change sides, and he's one of them. I'll get to the other one in a little bit. Now, the reason I think he will change sides is because, one, it took a Cinder a lot to convince him more than the other characters, and 2, he actually believes what he's doing is like right. Now, I'm not saying the other characters might, like, villains usually believe what they're doing is right, but he's like, we have a revolution, and he thinks that the only way for Faunus to be treated equally is by basically taking over humanity, or I don't know exactly what he thinks, but I don't know exactly his plan, but at the same time, it's like he thinks it's the only way. I mean, he's wrong, what he's doing is bad, but he's fighting for like a good cause, but at the same time, he's going way too extreme, and he might realize this during the story, that he's actually causing more pain than anything else. He's causing more harm harm to the faunus, because basically what he's doing is making all the faunuses get feared by humans. Like, humans are fearing faunuses because of his actions, because of his and the White Fang's actions, because they're become this terrorist group, and then that strikes fear into other people, and then they're gonna treat you differently just because you're a faunus, because that's what you're doing. Like, so he's not doing it the right way. He needs to be more like having peaceful protest and peaceful means. There's no reason to kill people and all this other stuff that he's doing. He's a terrorist is what he is. But at the same time, like, he might realize this, and the fact that he's connected to one of the 4 main characters, Blake. So, and he's connected in a romantic way, so that might bring him back to being a good person. Well, we'll have to see how the story unfolds. Number 5, Emeril Sutrai. I don't even know how to say her last name. Anyway, Emeril, kind of like Adam, I view that she might change sides. Now, I personally don't like a show that has too many villains change sides, or at least like them not giving an explanation, some kind of scenes or something of why they change sides, and it has to like kind of align with their character. And I think it, like Adam, like I think it will align with her character. Now, she took a bit more convincing for her to join Cinder than Mercury did, and it's also shown that she has shown sympathy when like the whole town was being destroyed. She's like, it's almost sad. Like, you could actually tell that she was at least sadder than Cinder or Mercury during that scene because of all the destruction. And it's also to be noted that she's the only reason she really joined Cinder was because she didn't really have a meal. She didn't have any food from like a day-to-day basis, and Cinder promised her that she'll never go hungry again. So she joined up, and you know, she is the selfish person, but I do see that she could be like motivated by people who were in her shoes that are basically orphans. I'm assuming she's an orphan or a bandit or something. I think we'll see more of that later, but I think she will get motivated by like children not being able to like feed themselves. Like, she will like see this, and she'll kind of see that the destruction that she's causing is leading to all these kids, like young people that can't even eat anything, and she'll like start to wonder if she's doing the right thing by helping Cinder out. So I definitely see like in her character, the way her character is built, that she could change sides. And like I said, the only 2 villains I see that could change sides are her and Adam, and that is just because of the way their characters are constructed. Whereas like Cinder, we know Cinder just wants power. Torchwick just wants to survive, and he'll do anything it takes just for him to survive. We don't know too much about Neo, but like Mercury, we don't really know too much, but like he just seems like he's out for himself, just from what we've seen so far. And like, I would really like to see that dynamic of Emeril throughout like the course of, you know, the series, of stuff starting to slowly change and her ending up like helping others, like joining Ruby and everyone at the end, or maybe she sacrifices herself or something. Like, I wouldn't like to see an instant change. I would like to see it like a slow, gradual thing of like her seeing the destruction, her seeing like what it's causing, and then really tying in that she wasn't able to eat when she was younger. Well, she wasn't able to eat before she met Cinder, and her seeing like all these kids not like have families and have them really like scrap for food. I could kind of like really see that, because there would be extremely good character development in her. So I do see like them probably going that way, but who knows? Who knows where they'll take the story. Anyway, we're on to number 4. Nora Vackery. I can't even say her name right. Anyway, I really like Nora in the terms of she's just a hilarious character. All her lines are like golden. She even has like this one moment in when Team Juniper is fighting in that tournament, and she's like in she's like team ears only. She's just a funny character. That her like the way she reacts to Ren. Well, not reacts, but acts towards Ren is just hilarious. The fact that she's like super strong and she's always peppy and everything. It's just like all her lines are just funny. The fact that she just has this huge hammer and just destroys people with it, destroys Grimm with it. It's just she's just a funny character overall, and I definitely think we're gonna see more of her in volume 4 or 5. We're gonna see more of like her and Ren's like backstory, like pretty much for sure in volume 4 or 5, depending on when Team RWBY gets together, because it's gonna happen before that. Anyway, I would look forward to that because I would like to see more of Nora's character developed. And considering she is like the second least character development out of the 8 main cast, so it's good. But she's just a funny character to watch, and just she's very entertaining. Number 3, Lee Ren. Now, Lee Ren, out of the 8 main cast, he's the least we know least about him. We know that he can control his aura extremely well, but it tires him out when he does this. Like it exhausts him. He's pretty much like kind of like a ninja. We also know he's extremely patient, almost to a fault, and extremely calm. Like I said, almost to a fault. He can deal with like Nora's antics and everything, and he stays completely calm. I don't know too many people who can deal with that can stay that calm all the time. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen him get upset. Maybe once, like in the library, when he was like, "Thank you," because he was just trying to read something, and that's it. He's a really good fighter, and just he seems to be a really good friend too, as he was helping June with his girl problems as well. And it was just it's always fun to see his character, like his reaction to Nora and everything. I would like to see more of his character developed, and I think we're going to see some kind of backstory with him and Nora at some point. Pretty much for sure, since he's one of the 8 main characters. Now we move on to number 2. It's none other than Ruby Rose, the main protagonist, the main female protagonist of the entire series. What the show is based off, RWBY. So I really like Ruby. She's kind. She's young. She's kind of childless at times. She's really a fun character to hang around. And she's just a really good fighter. The way she leaps in and out of there, just very, very good fights overall. And what I really like about her isn't necessarily her fight scenes. I like the way she interacts with characters. She's always like wants to be friends with everyone, even like Penny and stuff. And it's just really funny, and it's good to have like that naive character in the show as a protagonist nonetheless. Like, because Ruby is kind of very naive in the sense that she goes up to like strangers and wants to be their friends and stuff, but at the same time she's also socially awkward. She didn't want to be at the party or whatever. So it's really good to see all that. Ruby's character is definitely getting more character development in the sense that she's one of the Gray Eye warriors, and she's always been like a warrior type. Her motivation of wanting to be a huntress is definitely like a noble one, in the sense that she just wants to be like a warrior. She wants to protect people, help people. Anyway, so number 1. Number 1 is Jean Arc. Okay, whatever. I'm horrible pronouncing these names, especially the last names. Anyway, Jean is perhaps the most important character of the entire series. We get to see a lot of his character development. We see that he's not a good fighter, particularly at first. I mean, at this point, I'm assuming he's like an average fighter. He's not going to be great. He has improved, and I'm sure he has improved during the time skip as well, like I'm sure everyone else has. But I'm going to assume he's just an average fighter at this point. Like he's no like RWBY or anyone like that, but he can still like kind of hold his own against like average opponents. Like I'm going to just assume he's average. What interests me about his characters, and I said it like in my last video, is that I really think he's going to like really unite the people. Like, and that's going to be his like main purpose in the series. Cinder and Salem are dividing the people basically up, because together they're a threat, but divide them and they're very vulnerable. It's a divide and conquer strategy. Very, very old strategy, been used probably numerous of times throughout real life history, and it has been used numerous of times in fictional history, if you will. So it's a divide and conquer strategy, and when you have that strategy you worked out against the villains at this large a scale, you kind of need a character, a main character, to unite them. I can't really think of any good examples of that in recent recent cartoons and like that kind of stuff. I mean, Jean is sort of like a Sokka character, sort of like a Sokka from Avatar: Last Airbender, and sort of like a Ron from Kim Possible, but at the same time, neither of them like united the people. I mean, we could argue maybe Sokka did a little bit, but at a global scale, it was never really done. And I really think John is actually going to do that. He's going to unite the people, because it's obvious. I mean, basically, like one of Pyrrha's main purposes was to develop Jean's character, and Pyrrha is one of the 8 main characters. Well, she was, until she died, but that was one of the main purposes of her character, was to develop John's character, and they spent a lot of time on him. You don't spend a lot of time on a character that's not going to end up having a huge impact of how the story turns out. And because John is only like an average fighter at this point and was a poor fighter when the series began, I definitely think he's gonna be the one to like unite the people. And if you think about it, like, so it pretty much has to be one of the 8 main characters that unites the 4 kingdoms together, and that's going to be really the only thing that's going to be able to stop Salem and her army. And the reason I say that is because, like, okay, you take a character like Crow, right? He's a very powerful character. Like, he is not going to be able to fight an army and like fight like, say, quote unquote, a general of that army. Like, so I think like the main characters are going to be fighting like the main villains or the main like generals of like Salem's army. So they're not going to be able to fight them and the army. So what's basically going to end up happening is someone's going to have to unite the kingdom, so there's an army to fight Salem's army, which I believe it's going to be Grimm. I believe she's going to have some kind of control of Grimm. It's a theory for another day. Anyway, that leads me to like the 8 main characters. Like, I don't see any of them being able to unite the people besides maybe RWBY, but I don't even think RWBY would. But Jean hasn't had any really display of that, but I think he will like start doing it in volume 3. And that's what interests me, is that you take like the weakest character in terms of strength and you make them the most pivotal reason why the bad guys won, except for maybe RWBY, of course, in defeating like Salem. But you make him the reason why the villain's plans failed. And that's what interests me about Jean, is that kind of potential in him, the fact that he's spending all this time developing his character, this kind of stuff, and he's very relatable. Like, he's the he's the average guy, and that is relatable. I personally don't like when they have protagonists like be these awesome characters that can do like all this different stuff, and it's very unrelatable. And since the protagonist is shown the most in a series, I tend to like not like protagonists as much because of that. I mean, example, in Dragon Ball Z, like I personally don't like Goku because he doesn't really I mean, he has faults, but in terms of fighting, he doesn't really have any faults. Like, he works hard, he always tries to reach that next level or whatever. His faults more rely on like his home life and stuff like that, but like that's not really relatable to me like at all. And I personally don't like characters don't like I like characters that are like that, but I don't like protagonists that are like that, the main character. And John is like the opposite of that. So I really like that they did that, and that's why John's my favorite character, because he's relatable. He's really like, and we get to see like his progress. Like, he starts off from nothing, he moves up. He fights. He beats his first Grim. He beats his second Grim, and like he moves up. He becomes like an average fighter at this point. Let's just say maybe he's a little below average at this point. Who knows? And he continues to work up, and he like brings people together. He does like, there's so much potential for his character, and the fact that they spend so much time on it, like I think it's gonna be pivotal in how the story ends. And he's very relatable. That's what I like about his character. He's very relatable. He's this average dude. So anyway, that's my top 10 RWBY characters. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.